My name is William James Sidis, and for most of my life, I was known not for who I was, but for what I was supposed to be, a prodigy, a miracle of intellect, a boy genius. I was born in 1898 in New York City, the son of Boris Sidis, a Russian immigrant and psychologist, and Sarah Mandelbaum Sidis, a brilliant woman who left medical school to help shape my education. From the very beginning, my life was an experiment, an attempt to prove what a child's mind could become if cultivated without limits. My father believed he could mold me into the perfect intellect. In a way, he succeeded. And in another, he destroyed me. I could read by the age of 2, type on a typewriter at 3, and speak several languages by 5, Latin, Greek, French, Russian, German, and of course English. My parents delighted in showing my abilities to journalists, professors, and anyone who would listen. Newspapers wrote stories calling me the youngest genius in America. But behind the praise, I felt only pressure. I was not allowed to be a child, only a specimen. When I entered Harvard University at age 11, the world called me extraordinary. For me, it was torment. I was small, shy, and terrified of the crowds who came just to see me. They whispered and laughed, treating me like a curiosity, not a student. I remember walking alone through Harvard Yard in winter, the snow crunching beneath my feet, wondering why I felt so cold inside. I gave a lecture on four-dimensional bodies to the Harvard Mathematical Club at 11 years old. They applauded, but I felt empty. What did it matter if they thought me brilliant when I longed for nothing more than peace? After graduating in 1914, I tried to find a place in the world. I taught mathematics briefly, but my students mocked me for my awkwardness and my youth. I resigned and drifted, searching for something that didn't involve being a symbol of genius. I studied law for a time, but I could not bear the competitiveness, the noise, the constant demands. I preferred quiet, books, thought, solitude. The world, however, did not understand that kind of peace. In 1919, I became involved in socialist movements, believing perhaps that society could be reshaped into something kinder. I joined protests and spoke against the First World War, which I considered senseless slaughter. But my outspokenness led to my arrest during a demonstration in Boston. The newspapers rejoiced, boy genius arrested for radicalism. My parents, terrified of scandal, arranged my release on the condition that I would be kept away from politics, and, in effect, from the public eye. I was hidden away, moved from place to place, and the world slowly forgot my name. In the years that followed, I lived quietly, often under assumed names. I worked simple jobs, accountant, clerk, machine operator, anything that kept me invisible. I refused interviews, avoided friends, and retreated into books and my own thoughts. I wrote dozens of manuscripts, studies on history, cosmology, language, and even the psychology of crowds. Most were never published. One that did surface, The Animate and the Inanimate, explored the symmetry of life and entropy, but even that was dismissed as eccentric rambling. Still, writing was the only time I felt truly alive. People called me a recluse, a failure, a wasted genius. But what they never understood was that I did not reject the world because I hated it. I withdrew because I could no longer survive within it. From the moment I could walk, I was told what I was supposed to be. I had no time to learn who I actually was. Every part of my identity was shaped by others' expectations, my father's experiments, the press's curiosity, the public's fascination. When they were done with me, there was nothing left but a hollow man who had never learned how to live for himself. By my 30s, I had stopped trying to impress anyone. I lived in cheap rooms, surrounded by piles of notebooks and typewritten pages, eating little, speaking to almost no one. I spent my days reading, walking alone, thinking. The press found me again in 1924, writing articles mocking my fall from greatness. Once a genius, now a nobody, one headline said. They wanted tragedy, I gave them silence. I died in 1944, alone in a small apartment in Boston, at the age of 46. They said I was found with only a few books and some manuscripts. My death, like my life, passed quietly, a brief note in the newspapers that had once celebrated me as a wonder of the age. If I could explain my retreat from the world, I would say it was not madness or arrogance, but exhaustion, a deep, soul-worn fatigue. My parents had built me to be a mind, not a person. I was trained to think endlessly, but never to live, to love, or to belong. I understood mathematics, philosophy, and languages, but not the simple rhythm of ordinary human life. My mind was vast, but my heart was undernourished. Perhaps my withdrawal was inevitable, the final act of a man trying to reclaim the pieces of himself that had been taken by fame, ambition, and the relentless gaze of others. I withdrew not out of failure, but in pursuit of peace. For the first time, I lived not as a genius, but as a human being, quietly, anonymously, and, in my own way, free.